When was the last time you came home from a holiday actually feeling rested? Not just relieved that the travel is finally over, not just happy that you can finally sleep in your own bed again, but genuinely, truly rested. If you're struggling to answer that question, you're in the right place. Because here's what I think is happening. Most men, and I mean the vast majority of men, are doing their holidays wrong. Not wrong in an obvious way, not wrong in a way that anybody's going to call them out on. Wrong in a way that's costing them something real. Their rest, their clarity, and their ability to come back and actually move forward with their lives. And they don't even know that. Today we're gonna fix it. Now, in my experience, and I'm guilty of doing both of these myself, men fall into two different traps on a holiday. And I want to describe them both in enough detail that you'll be able to recognize them in yourself or in somebody else, because the recognition is the first step. Now, the first man, let's call him the escape artist. He books a holiday in Ibiza, Marbella, Cabo, some beach resort, beautiful views, books into an all-inclusive where everything comes based upon the wristband. And the moment that plane is wheels up, something clicks in them. He's in holiday mode, which means drinking before noon, up till 4 a.m. in the clubs or in the bars, and then sleeping in till it's time for that first drink. And they just do it on repeat. And look, I'm not going to tell you there's anything wrong with a cold beer on a warm afternoon. Truly one of life's great pleasures. But this isn't that. This is just a man who's relocated his unhappiness to somewhere warmer and more expensive. Comes home a week later, sunburned, a little bit poorer, and the Sunday night dread, which was the entire reason for going on holiday in the first place, is back. Exactly where he left it. We didn't go on a holiday, he went on an extended session. And now, he needs to recover from the recovery. The escape artist isn't relaxing, he's numbing. And there's a crucial difference. Numbing is what you do when you don't know how to rest. It fills the silence. It gets rid of the discomfort of stillness. It feels like release in the moment, but it's not restorative. You come back empty. Now the second man, and this one might surprise you because he looks like he's doing everything right. He's booked 11 days in Japan or Paris or London, and by God, he's going to see all of it. He has a spreadsheet with a color-coded itinerary, the 6 a.m. temple visit, the 9 a.m. museum, the 11 a.m. food tour, 2 p.m. at the castle, the 5 p.m. scenic walk, and the 7 p.m. dinner reservation. All booked 3 months in advance. Day 1, he's excited. Day 3, his feet hurt. Day 6, he can't remember which temple he visited yesterday. Day 9, he's just photographing things on autopilot, not even being present where he's at. Because photography is proof of the experience rather than the experience itself. He comes home having, as he'll say to everyone, done Japan, and he needs about a week to recover from it. The sightseer didn't travel, he consumed. He treated a country like a checklist. And the tragedy is he was there, physically present in one of the most beautiful places in the world, and he didn't feel any of it. He confused movement for experience, volume for depth. He was too busy being somewhere to actually be anywhere. Now here's what's interesting. These men look completely different from the outside. One's on a sunbed with an Aperol spritz. The other has a Rick Steves guidebook and a Metro map. You'd never put them in the same category, but they share one fundamental problem. Neither of them knows how to be still. So they fill their holiday, one with noise and one with activity, to avoid the discomfort of actually sitting with themselves. And that discomfort, that fidgety, slightly anxious feeling when you're not doing anything, not achieving anything, not ticking something off, that's not laziness. That's not weakness. That's the tension releasing. It's exactly what's supposed to happen on a holiday. And both of these men panic and fill in the moment as soon as they feel it. Now I want to spend some time on this because I feel it is genuinely misunderstood. Most people, when they think of rest, think of just lying on a sun lounger doing nothing. And some of that is fine. Some of it's actually even necessary. But genuine rest, truly restorative rest, is not passive. It's not absence of activity, it's the presence of the right kind of activity. And understanding the difference changes everything about how you approach a holiday. Here's what's happening in your brain when you're at work. And I mean this in the broadest sense. Not just the office, the commute, the inbox, the decisions, the things you're responsible for, the people who need things from you. Your brain is in what you might call output mode. You're producing, deciding, managing, reacting. It's cognitively expensive, and over time, it depletes something. What you need, what your brain is actually craving when you're burning out. It's not less thinking, it's different input. It's novel input. Things that engage you without demanding anything from you. That's why traveling somewhere new, slowly, without an agenda, is one of the most restorative things that a man can do. Not because it switches your brain off, but because it switches it into something different. A new street, an unfamiliar language, buildings that you've never seen, the way people eat or greet each other or argue or laugh. Your brain is fully engaged. But it's not depleted, it's replenished. It's what the sightseer misses. He's so busy checking things off the list that he never actually sees any of them. And that's what the escape artist is trying to skip, the engagement part, by replacing it with alcohol, which numbs the output mode without giving the brain anything worth having. There's another dimension of this that I think is particularly important for ambitious men. And by that, I mean for men who actually care about where they're going in their lives, personally and professionally. We are very bad at reflection. Not because we're not capable of it, but because our daily lives give us no time or space for it. You wake up and you are immediately in your life. Emails, responsibilities, just the machine of it. And you don't surface from that until the machine stops. A holiday is one of the very few times that machine stops. And most men immediately replace the machine with alcohol or sightseeing, because they've forgotten or never learned how to use that silence. But the silence is where the real work happens. Distance from your normal life gives you something you almost never can find in it: perspective. When you're in the middle of your life, you can't see it clearly. You're too close to it. You're reacting, you're not observing. But 3 days into a genuinely restful holiday, when the pace is slowed, when the noise has dropped, when your nervous system has finally started to unclench, things start to become clearer. You find yourself thinking about things that you've been avoiding, decisions you've been deferring, or relationships you've been letting drift. Things in your work that aren't working, that you've just been too busy to see. Not with anxiety, but with clarity, because you finally have the space to see them. That space, that clarity, is the most valuable thing that a holiday can give you, and most men never access it. They come home with a suntan or a memory card full of photos, and they leave the clarity on the table. So what does a holiday actually look like when you do it right? I want to give you a framework. 3 phases. Simple enough to remember, but it requires a little bit of discipline, because the temptation at every stage is to revert back to one of the 2 traps. Phase number 1, decompress. Do not plan anything demanding for the first 2 days. I know that feels like a lot of wasted time. You only have 8 days on holiday, and there's a lot to see, and there's this restaurant that you've read about that's supposed to be amazing, and there's that viewpoint that just can't be missed. But your nervous system needs time to change gears. You've been in a heightened state for months, possibly years, since the last time you tried to take a holiday. You cannot simply arrive somewhere beautiful and immediately be at peace. That's not how it works. Day 1, sleep, eat well, go for a walk without any destination. If you're with someone, resist the urge to fill every hour with plans. Sit on a terrace, have a long lunch. Let the afternoon go where it goes. That discomfort you feel in the first few hours, that restlessness, that slight anxiety that you're not doing anything, that's the tension leaving your body. Don't medicate it with your phone. Don't medicate it with a bar stool. Sit with it. It passes. And when it passes, something opens up. And that's what you came on holiday for. Phase 2, engage. Once you've decompressed and there's a slight shift, you'll feel it, then you can explore. But there's a rule. 1, maybe 2 meaningful things a day. Not a checklist. One thing that you're genuinely curious about done properly. Not a 20-minute sprint through a museum followed by a quick photo at the exit. The goal is depth, not breadth. A market in the morning, where you actually look at things, taste things, talk to someone. A long, proper lunch. A gallery in the afternoon where you perhaps stand in front of only 3 paintings for 10 minutes each, rather than rushing past hundreds. What you're trying to do is actually understand the place, not document it, not consume it, but truly understand it. And the difference between understanding somewhere and photographing it is enormous. One you carry with you. One just fills a camera roll that you may never look at again. Leave evenings open where possible. Some of the best things that happen on a holiday happen when there's no plan. A conversation that you get into that goes on too long. The unplanned street that you wander down. A discovery that doesn't exist in a guidebook. You only discover those when you're not already booked solid. Phase 3, reflect. Now this is the phase that most men skip entirely, and it's probably the most important one. In the last day or two before you go home, when that machine restarts, you take time, deliberately, alone if possible. Morning coffee, a long walk, a notebook if that's something that you do, and you think. Not about your inbox, not about what's waiting for you when we get back to work, about your life. What has distance shown you about your own life that you couldn't see when you were in it? What feels less urgent than it did before you left? Because a lot of what feels urgent in daily life, it's just noise. And distance reveals that very quickly. What do you want to do differently? What have you been avoiding? What relationships need more attention? What work needs less? These aren't comfortable questions, but they're the right ones. And a good holiday, one that has given you space and quiet and perspective, is exactly the right time to ask them. Because you may not have this clarity again for months. The moment you land, the machine restarts and you're back in your life again. Use the outside looking in view while you have it. A gentleman doesn't waste his holidays. He uses them to become a slightly better version of himself than when he left. Now let me tell you what happens when a man actually travels intentionally. He comes home and he makes better decisions. That's not metaphorical. Decision fatigue is real. It's the cumulative cost of every decision you make throughout a working week. A genuine rest clears it. You return with cognitive capacity that you forgot you had. He comes home with patience, real patience, not the kind you perform at work while quietly seething, the kind that comes from actually having been calm for an extended period of time. He comes home with creative energy, not the manufactured kind, but the real kind. Ideas, connections, solutions to problems that have been stuck. This is why some of the best thinking in history has happened at a remove from normal life. Distance gives the mind room. He comes home with clarity about his priorities. Which relationships deserve more of his time? Which ambitions are worth pursuing? Which things he's been doing out of habit rather than intention? And perhaps most importantly, he comes home as a man who is ready to move forward. Not just recovered, but actually ready. With a kind of motivation that doesn't come from a motivational video or a productivity system. It comes from rest, from perspective, from having genuinely stopped. The escape artist comes home and needs a week to recover from his holiday. The sightseer comes home and needs a week to process his holiday. The man who travels with intention comes home and is ready for his work, for the people in his life, for himself. That is the return on investment of a holiday done correctly. Now there's a version of this that is very simple. Travel isn't a reward for working hard. It's a part of how you work on yourself. If you're coming home from every holiday as the same man who you were when you left, or even worse, a slightly depleted one, then something isn't working. The holiday isn't the problem, you are the problem, but it can be fixed. Stop running away. Stop filling every moment. Stop confusing noise for fun and movement for experience. Decompress, engage, reflect. Come home better. If this was useful to you, please like and subscribe below. In the comments below, tell me where you're traveling this summer. I'm curious to hear. See you next time.